It's the battle of lightweights. Well, at least in terms of wine glasses. I have two of the most popular luxury lightweight wine glasses and then a Challenger here that's about a third of the price. We're going to compare how they perform. The first glass that we have is the Gabriel Glas Gold Edition. This comes in at 90 bucks a glass. We have the Zalto Universal Glass that comes in around $80 a glass, and then the Challenger and the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux glass. This comes in about $32. I wanted to use this Bordeaux, not the universal glass, because I wanted to buy a bigger glass, and I think the Bordeaux shape is a pretty good universal glass, plus all three are now different sizes. I know the Spiegelau is a Bordeaux glass, but to me it's almost like a burgundy shape in terms of the bowl, so maybe it's like a Bordeaux burgundy hybrid. All these are similar weights, about 3.5 ounces. The Gabriel Glas is the lightest at around 90 grams. Since these are hand blown, the weights fluctuate depending on the glass. The Zalto is also hand blown, that comes in around 100 grams, and then the Spiegelau is about 120 grams, so I think that's closer to 4 ounces. They're all pretty lightweight though. Oddly enough, maybe because it's the shape, I feel like the Zalto weighs almost a little bit more than the Spiegelau, maybe because of the balance in the hand. The Gabriel Glas holds about 470 milliliters, that's about 16 ounces, while the Zalto holds 530 milliliters, which comes out to be 17.9 ounces of wine, not quite a full bottle. The Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux 789 milliliters, so that's 26 ounces, a little bit more than a full bottle of wine. One of the things that I look for in a glass, especially since these glasses are hand blown, they're really thin, really delicate, is I want to see a wide base. The Spiegelau definitely wins, the base is wider. The Zalto is wide too, but the Spiegelau, it just feels sturdy, it's so wide. That's my only complaint with the Gabriel Glas. In the past, I've really liked the bowl shape, but I've wanted the base to be a little bit bigger in diameter. If you didn't already see it, I did a wine glass comparison video. I used both the Zalto and the Gabriel Glas, along with some other inexpensive glasses. I recently bought this Spiegelau Definition glass because I wanted to see the difference between these two. I also bought the Zalto for these comparisons. The Gabriel Glas is the only sample. Granted, I got these way back in 2018. I haven't been in contact with them ever since. If you've ever compared wine out of a cheap glass, you'll notice that a little bit better of a glass, maybe you don't have to spend this much on a glass, makes a humongous difference. These are like the Rolls Royce of wine glasses, so let's see how they perform against each other. To make this a fair comparison, I'm going to use a little measuring cup. I'm going to put 80 milliliters of wine in each glass when I make the comparison. That's a third of a cup. That's a little bit less than a restaurant pour in fancy restaurants in Europe where it's about 100 milliliters. Tasting pour is about 50 to 75 milliliters. I know, when you're getting pour in a restaurant, you only get an 100 ml. Sometimes you get quite sad. Let's start with champagne. We have the Champagne Vollereaux Reserve Brut Non-Vintage. This is all three grapes, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Meunier. I'm excited, it's hot out, so I want to drink some of the champagne later. Usually, I do not like using flutes when it comes to champagne. They're just too tight. I don't get all the aromas and flavors. I know that Zalto makes a champagne-specific glass. I think Spiegelau might as well. Gabriel Glas is a universal glass, so it's one shape. I find it works great with champagne. I know that Spiegelau was actually bought by Riedel a couple of years ago. Just by appearance, just by look, because it's a little taller. I feel like the Zalto might be better for champagne, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, opening a champagne bottle, you want to take it at a 45-degree angle, turn the bottle while you hoard the cork, and you want as little noise as possible. I had some right there. Let's see how they feel in the hand with wine in the glass. I've always thought the Gabriel Glas balances really, really nice. Again, I just wish it was a wider base. It feels just maybe a tad wobbly on the bottom end, not as tall. The Zalto definitely feels balanced in the hand because it's a little bit taller. Also, the base is bigger. The Spiegelau feels a little bit top heavy. I think in terms of balance in the hand, the Zalto might be winning in this category, although I feel like the Gabriel Glas definitely weighs the least. Let's give this a smell here. I love champagne. Get tons of biscuit notes, lemon, apple, mineral type flavors. I know this is a grower's champagne. It's not one of the grand marks. The champagne, if you can find it, comes in 50 bucks. Let's see how the Zalto smells. I think that the Gabriel and the Zalto smell very similar. The Gabriel Glas might have a little bit more toastiness. The Zalto has a little bit more floral characteristic. White flower, somebody that likes the breadiness. I think I'm going for the Gabriel. Let's take a look at the Spiegelau. It's funny, the Spiegelau, the fruit doesn't come out as much as the other glasses. Let's give each one a taste. So right now, I think I'm preferring the smell on the Gabriel Glas. By the way, the difference between the Gabriel Glas Gold Edition, that's hand blown, the Gabriel Glas Standart's almost double the weight, but it's also a third of the price. Let's give this a taste here. Some people like their champagnes a little toasty, some people like them fruitier. This champagne, first of all, is really good. It's a balance between the two. Here, the fruit and the toastiness comes out. There's a lot of length. The bead of bubbles is really fine. I'm really liking how it shows in that glass. Let's go over to the Zalto. I'm gonna take comparison. They're pretty similar. Yeah, I'm just using it as an excuse to drink more champagne. I think the flavors are almost similar. The Gabriel Glas, there's just a little bit more pop and fruit. The fruit almost tastes just a tad sweeter, riper. It's a dry wine, of course, but let's start with the Spiegelau. Without question, I don't get the depth of flavors in the Spiegelau definition glass. Granted, it's a red wine glass, so it's okay. I'm gonna give the slight edge in flavor aromas to what I like to the Gabriel Glas Gold Edition here. However, if you like more floral, more purity of fruit, so to speak, the Zalto might be for you, and it just feels a little bit better in the hands. My preference here, the Gabriel Glas Gold's gonna win for the champagne. Next up, we're gonna go with a crispy white wine, like an everyday type wine. This is the Ronchi di Castelluccio, Sottorvento di Castelluccio, 23 euros. This is in Europe. I think it might be in the US, so I'm guessing it'd be like 30 bucks. So it's a blend of Trebbiano and Sauvignon Blanc from Emilia-Romagna in Italy, the center part of Italy. Emilia-Romagna is one of the great food destinations in Italy. By the way, if you're a bubbles guy, there's a lot of champagne and sparkling wine content coming out, if it's not out already. Trebbiano is actually not one grape. There's a number of different Trebbianos throughout Italy. My personal favorite is Trebbiano Spoletino in Umbria. I was supposed to be in Montefalco for the Anteprima, but with my crazy travel schedule, I wasn't able to make it work. The wine should feel about the same in the glass here. Funny enough, the champagne felt better in the Zalto. I feel like this dry white, it feels better in the Gabriel Glas Gold Edition, but hey, maybe it's just confirmation bias. Let's give this a smell. I like this because it's not so aromatic. Sometimes Sauvignon Blanc can be too over the top. This is not. You're gonna get pineapple, guava flavors, a little bit of sweet peach. Just a hint of grass. You don't get a lot of Sauvignon Blanc flavors. Let's go here. I feel like this shape might be better for this wine. Again, these are very similar. The Gabriel Glas Gold and the Zalto. More fruit in the Gabriel Glas, more mineral in the Zalto. Other than that, similar fruit flavors. Let's go on with the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux. The Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux, the wines smell pretty similar. These are all minor differences. And that's the thing about wine, especially when you get to more expensive wines. These differences in flavor are very subtle. You really have to pay attention to them. Honestly, you probably go with either of these glasses, you'll be fine. I just noticed the first two wines, it's not smelling as good in the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux. So I still get the pineapple, some sweet peach. It just doesn't pop out of the glass as much. It's more muted. It's almost like in this first glass, the Gabriel Glas Gold, which I liked, it's almost like fresh cut fruit. This is like fruit that's maybe been sitting out for a little while. Let's do the taste test. Crispy white wine, delicious, has some body. Actually, I thought it'd be a super simple wine. There are nuances here. There are layers. There's decent length. It's not too sour, not too acidic, so a lot of people are gonna like that. This is so funny. The Gabriel Glas Gold, I feel like, has a little more fruit. I don't know if it's the shape. The flavors are almost the same in the Zalto, but I feel like there's a little bit more length. The fruit doesn't pop maybe just a 0.5% as much, but the length is really good. So these are like a draw. Let's go to the Bordeaux. The fruit doesn't come out as much, but the wine feels fuller on the palate with the bigger body. I like the fruit quality in the Gabriel Glas, but I think in this crispy white wine, God, hold on a second. Yeah, it's a little fruitier, but I like mineral driven. I like length. I feel like in the Zalto, it feels a little more acidic. In this dry, crispy white taste test, I'm gonna prefer the Zalto. I thought this would be a very simple wine. This has complexity layers. To me, it's 90+ point type of wine. Give the champagne probably around 93 points. I learned just as much doing these videos as you guys do, and I'm having a blast here. Let's go on to a bigger white wine. We have the Lonesome Rock, the Estate Chardonnay. This is from the Willamette Valley in Oregon. This comes in at 60 bucks, barrel fermented. I have not tasted this wine, so I'm excited. This wine has a wax top. A lot of people are confused when they see a wax top. I put the corkscrew right through the wax top and just pull the cork. I'm a big fan of Chardonnay in Oregon. I feel like you have bright fruit, you have clarity of fruit, yet you have the spine of acidity. I am not rinsing these glasses, I'm just pouring the wines over. When you're at wine tastings, it's actually better to put wine over after you're switching wines more than water. The Italians usually rinse with wine before they put a new wine in. Sometimes, you know what, I just like to pour over. Unless I'm moving from a white back to a red. If I'm moving from a white to a red, it's okay, I can just pour over. Chardonnay, especially serious barrel fermented Chardonnay, usually does better with bigger bowls. In theory, that means the Spiegelau definition Bordeaux should be better, but I don't know, we'll see. Let's check out the Gabriel Glas Gold Edition first. This is so impressive Chardonnay. Flint, a lot of dandelion, a lot of this white, yellow peach flavors, Asian pear. Just, it's explosive, it's pretty, it's even a little bit floral. Smells serious. There's like, you get a kiss, like just a hint of vanilla, but you know it's been barrel fermented, but the wood does not stick out at all. Let's move on to the Zalto. Same flavors. Right now, the Flint comes out a little bit more than the fruit. The Flint and the vanilla come out just a little bit more in the Zalto. You're still going to get the white, yellow, peach flavors. It still smells very good. I'm preferring the Gabriel Glas Gold. Let's go to the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux. This, I get all those flavors, but I even get hints of caramel, and the wine explodes out of this glass. This is the first one where I feel like the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux glass has performed well, and I feel like I like it the most so far. Okay, let's go with the Gabriel Glas Gold Edition. I love Oregon Chardonnay. So pure, so clean. You got so much fruit flavors. It's linear, so it's kind of straight down the middle, especially those that like more acidic white wines. Although you have some of the bigness, but it's just not a big, bold, buttery wine. It tastes good here. In the Gabriel Glas, I feel like I want a little more fruit to match the nose. Let's go with the Zalto. The Zalto, once again, the Flint comes out more. The fruit, the Flint, the mineral notes comes together perfectly in the Zalto. Better on the palate than the Gabriel Glas Gold Edition. When you have great Chardonnay, I don't want anything to stick out. I don't want the wood to stick out. I don't want too much of the minerals to stick out. I don't want too much of the fruit. It all comes together in the Zalto. Let's try the Definition Bordeaux Glass by Spiegelau. No question here. Wine feels richer, fuller in the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux Glass. That's a winner by far. Let's see how they feel on the hands. Gabriel Glas, even though it's not significantly lighter than these two, 120 grams versus around 100 grams versus 90 grams, the Gabriel Glas Gold feels a lot lighter, but I have to say, in this taste test, I definitely prefer the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux Glass, and good for you because it's 30 bucks. All three, I think of them as universal, although the Zalto and the Gabriel Glas Gold are labeled as universal glasses. It's funny to see these subtle differences in flavors. By the way, I've just launched channel memberships. There are several tiers, the Reserve tier and then the Grand Reserve tier. And the second tier, the Grand Reserve tier, there'll be a monthly live tasting. And then if you're in that tier, you can come up on screen and we can have a conversation, we can hang out. I just did my first one yesterday. I'm also going to be launching a live video podcast series. And in that series, if you're on the Grand Reserve tier, you'll have the option to actually come up on screen and ask me or the guest a question too. I'll leave a link in the comments below, or you can click the join button next to subscribe. I really appreciate the support. I think universal glasses are great, except with Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is really tough. I always want a burgundy glass. It's the only wine where I'm a little bit picky about the glass I use. This is the Angela Vineyards Pinot Noir 2019 from the Yamhill Carlton AVA in the Willamette Valley. Comes in at 38 bucks. For a high quality Willamette Valley Pinot Noir, it's pretty affordable the way prices are going these days. Little hack there, you don't always have to cut the foil. You can use the heat for your hands and wedgie off the capsule. I don't feel like we need capsules anymore these days. Pinot Noir, baby. I've never tasted from this producer before. This is actually owned by the Graham Beck Estate in South Africa that are famous for sparkling wines. They actually sent me some sparkling wines, and I was just interested about tasting some of their Pinot Noir projects. I said, send this over. I didn't have any Pinot Noir content coming that I could use it, but I wanted to taste it, so let's see, we'll taste it here. I forgot to mention that Chardonnay is outstanding, really high quality stuff. For me, 92 plus points. I did a couple big Willamette Valley Pinot Noir blind tasting videos. You want to look out for them, check them out. The Pinot Noir in Willamette Valley can sometimes be more concentrated than you would expect since it's a cool climate region, although summers are pretty warm there. Styles of Pinot Noir can really vary. There's a couple producers that I found have been more earthy, more even, dare I say, Burgundian, but most of the time they have like a distinctive Oregon style. Let's start out with the Gabriel Glas Gold. Brilliant Pinot Noir. This actually reminds me of like a Santa Barbara Pinot Noir, almost like it can smell the sea. Cool Whip. It's got a raspberry flavor, a little bit of strawberries, maybe just a touch, a dash of mocha. Fall leaves type flavor. It smells fruity without being too much. Again, the Gabriel Glas feels a lot lighter than these other two. I have to say, the Pinot Noir, I don't know if it's confirmation bias because it's a bigger bowl, but I definitely feel like it feels better in the hand. Just the bigger bowl so I can swish it around. Sometimes glasses, it's not always about taste. It's about how it feels in the hand too. I am shocked how much the Zalto and the Gabriel Glas Gold smell the same. Oh, okay, hold on. Similar flavors in the Zalto than the Gabriel Glas Gold. I still get the raspberry, the Cool Whip, the sea breeze, a little bit of fall leaves. But in the Zalto, I get a little bit of mahogany. Just a touch. It's interesting, a little bit of smoke. Let's start with a Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux. This smells very, very, very good. In the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux, I get similar flavors. The fruit comes out a little bit more, and I get a little bit more pepper. But man, Pinot Noir is so complex. This is really enjoyable wines. Luscious sweet fruit flavors. You get a touch of the wood. The raspberry and the forest floor really come through. I like this because this is a nice balance. This is like, to me, where Oregon doesn't have to be anything else. This is an Oregon style. Plenty of fruit. Yes, we got plenty of fall leaves notes. Let's go out with the Zalto here. These are performing pretty well, and I have to say, nose maybe was a little bit different in the Zalto, but on the palate, they're exactly the same. Same structure, they even feel the same on the palate. Let's move on to Spiegelau here. Like I said, a little bit more pepper in this one. The wine's definitely better in the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux glass. It feels a little bit fuller on the palate, a little bit softer. The acidity and the tannins, which Pinot Noir doesn't have a ton of tannins, this one doesn't have a ton either, but you feel them a little bit more in the Zalto and the Gabriel Glas Gold. The wine feels a little more silky in the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux glass. That's a heck of a wine. 93 points hard on it. I think it's good. I highly recommend this wine. For 38 bucks, the way that Oregon Pinot Noir is going nowadays, I think this is excellent. This is a crowd pleaser between people that like fruit, that also want some of the earthy tones. I think it's a beautiful wine. Good job. They actually sent me their Chardonnay too, so now I'm excited to taste that. The Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux is the winner with that one. Let's move on to a Bordeaux blend where a lot of people are drinking. This is the Monteti Toscana 2018. This is about half Petit Verdot with some Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon from Tuscany. This comes in at 40 bucks. So if this is good, could be like a super Tuscan alternative. I have never tasted this producer before. This is their top wine. Usually you don't see a lot of top wines with this much Petit Verdot in it. It's a late ripening grape variety used to give tannin, spice, and color. It can be a really unique wine when it's vinified on its own, but it's usually a blending grape. One of the 6 original grapes from Bordeaux, although Bordeaux is now expanded, but the 6 original red Bordeaux grapes are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Carmenère, Malbec, and Petit Verdot. I feel like Universal Glasses always do well with Bordeaux wines. I don't know this, but I do think glass manufacturers keep that in mind, that most people are drinking Bordeaux style wines or Bordeaux blends or bigger reds. So that's also why they're formulating the shape of their universal glasses. We have one glass that is a Bordeaux glass, so maybe it will do the best. Let's weigh in here. It's so funny. I don't know what it is, if there's more extract, if that, because maybe red wine, since it has more extract, more tannin, it weighs a little bit more, but it's so funny. The Gabriel Glas a lot of times weighed less, but now all these wines weigh about the same. Like a lot of the last couple wines, especially the reds, I like the feel in the Spiegelau Definition glass. Let's give this a little bit of a sniffy sniff, a little bit of a smell. Sorry, I was thinking Gary Vee there for a second. Wow, definitely has that Tuscan flair. Black cherry, mahogany, cedar. Got this like Tuscan tanginess I get in these Tuscan Bordeaux blends. I like this because it's not overly fruity, yet it's not too oaky as well. You get a little bit of oak, but not too much. I think fans of Napa Cab are really going to like this style of wine. It smells really good. Let me smell it in the Zalto. Okay, the Zalto, It's the opposite. A lot of times the Gabriel Glas was having more fruit, and the Zalto, there's more fruit, more of that black cherry flavors. I still get everything else, the mocha, the mahogany, the cedar. There's just a little bit more mocha, mahogany, cedar in the Gabriel Glas Gold Edition. Let's check out the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux glass. This is weird. So I thought the Bordeaux glass would be better. The Zalto, I like it. It's the fruitiest. Here in the Gabriel Glas Gold, you get more of the mahogany, more of the cedar, earthy, some of the wood tones. Here, it's like a balance in between. It's just maybe not as explosive. I don't know if it's the shape of the Zalto, but the fruit's more explosive in the Zalto. Interesting. Let's give this a taste here. This is a wine, super Tuscans, especially if you like bigger reds. Well done ones. The tannins are not too aggressive. You still have a little bit of them. This is not a massive wine like I would expect with a lot of Petit Verdot. This is really good. 14% alcohol. It's a little bit slender, more slender than I thought. It's just not big and massive and fruity. Sometimes with these young, I guess it's not young anymore. This is the current release. It's got some age on it. The wood can be too aggressive, but it's really nicely balanced. Let me check out the Zalto here. So funny because I always say in my mind that I prefer Gabriel Glas Gold. But man, here the length is a little bit better on the Zalto. The fruit quality is a little bit better. These are subtle differences. It's not ridiculously better, but it is slightly better. And when it comes down to high quality wines, us wine geeks, stuff that we're scoring, like those subtle differences can make a big difference in score or overall quality of wine. At the end of the day, just drink what you like. You got to know what you like. Let's go with the Bordeaux Spiegelau Definition glass. Similar flavors. It's a little bit creamier, a little bit rounder on the palate. Let me compare with the Zalto again. Wow. Again, like I said, some of the wood qualities come out, but I like the spiciness that comes out of the Gabriel Glas Gold. I think a lot of people might prefer the Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux glass here because it's creamier and rounder. In the Zalto glass, for me, though, there's a little more focus. It's a little bit longer. I think in this case, the Zalto glass wins for me. Well, I might prefer the Pinot Noir for my drinking style. I think this is a hardcore 94-point type of wine. I think for a super Tuscan style wine, one that's friendly, that's not too tannic, this is a crowd pleaser. This is well worth seeking out. Is there the perfect universal glass? No, it's probably according to your budget, what you want to spend, and the types of wines that you drink. I have to say, in the crisp white and the champagne, I'd probably have like a smaller glass like this, like the Gabriel Glas or the Zalto, and since these are universal glasses, they can take you through a lot of things. Granted, it is expensive. The Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux glass didn't do as well with the crispy white or the champagne, but did excellent with the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir. Granted, the actual Bordeaux blend, I preferred the Zalto. Now, if price is a factor, I think you're going to get just as much enjoyment out of the Spiegelau Definitions. Maybe you can get their universal glasses. You don't have to worry about breaking them as much because at $32, it's about a third of the price of the Zalto and the Gabriel Glas Gold. But ultimately, it's up to you. It's all about subtle differences. I do think when you have a bigger shaped bowl, you are going to have a rounder mouthfeel. Some people like that. Actually, most wine drinkers do like that. Tell me, have you ever done a taste test like this before? Do you have any preferences when it comes to ultra premium wine glasses? I'd love to hear. Drop it in the comments below.